So, good morning, students. And today we will be going to start the second life process, that is respiration. Okay. So, before going into today's discussion, just yes, students, as we have done during the first life process, nutrition, if you can, and now I will be recalling that portion also, because in that portion, in the steps of digestion, and or we can say the steps of the nutrition in the human being, we have done the first ingestion, then digestion, then absorption, and then assimilation. Now here I would link the assimilation with the second life process, that is respiration. Students, can you tell me what do we mean by assimilation, what we have discussed during the nutrition in the human beings? We have done one step that was called assimilation. What was assimilation, which we have done in the nutrition in the human being? Yes. Okay, Muskan raised his hand. Okay. Okay, Muskan, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Yes, assimilation, Muskan.
It is a process of utilization of energy from digested food by the cells.
Okay, very good. That is a utilization of energy by the body cells to get, or the utilization of the energy by the body cells to get energy. Okay, utilization of the we can say energy from the digested food. If we are saying very in a precise manner, then definitely the energy from the digested food, when it is being used by the body cells, that is the assimilation. But at the cellular level, now we are moving to respiration. At the cellular level, how we will get the energy from the digested food? How we will get the energy from the digested food? It is by the oxidation of the food material. By the oxidation of the food material from the digested food, we will get energy. So what is respiration? Respiration is the oxidation of food material in cells to release energy for various life processes. So it is an oxidation of the food material in cells to release energy for various life processes. So here the food material will be broken down, and some organisms use oxygen to break down the food, that is a glucose, into CO2, water, and some do not use the oxygen. So the organisms, or we can say the type of the respiration in which oxygen is being used up, it is called aerobic respiration, and the type of the respiration in which oxygen is not used up, that is called anaerobic respiration. So first, students, we will be discussing the types of the respiration. Okay, types of respiration we will be discussing. See, so first, what is an aerobic respiration? So it is a respiration in presence of air, oxygen. It releases much energy. Now, why it releases much energy? Because it is a complete oxidation of the food material. On the other hand, in anaerobic respiration is the partial oxidation of the food material. And when the food material will be partially oxidized, the amount of the energy released definitely will be low. And here, I will also show you the various pathway, the pyruvate. See, students, one very important thing regarding here. First, we have said about the aerobic, and then I'm going to define the anaerobic. In case of the anaerobic respiration, it takes place in absence of oxygen. Now, first of all, students, before going into further more detail, all of you look to this flow chart. All of you look to this word diagram. It is very, very important. Why? Because it gives you a clear-cut indication of the various steps of respiration. See, student, first of all, glucose. Just a moment. Yes. First of all, glucose. This glucose is the respiratory substrate. What do you mean by respiratory substrate? The material which is going to be oxidized. Glucose, which is a 6-carbon compound, in the cytoplasm of the cell, get converted into pyruvate, which is a 3-carbon molecule. Remember, student, this step is the universal step of respiration. What do we mean by this? This means that this step occurs in all the cells. This step occurs in all the cells, in all type of cells, because of the presence of the cytoplasm in all the type of the cell. So this is the universal step of respiration. When the glucose is converted into pyruvate, glucose, which is a 6-carbon molecule, get converted into pyruvate, which is a 3-carbon molecule. And this process occurs in the cytoplasm of the cell. Okay, so if suppose in the examination it is asked to you which is the universal step of respiration, so you should answer when the glucose is converted into pyruvate, that is a 6-carbon molecule when converted into a 3-carbon molecule. So this is called the universal step of respiration. And one more thing, students, in class 10, as per our syllabus is concerned, the name of this step in NCERT is not mentioned, but we will do there. This step is named as when the glucose, just a moment, when the glucose is converted into pyruvate. Pyruvate is a 3-carbon molecule. The name of this step is glycolysis. Remember, the name of this step when the glucose is converted into pyruvate, in NCERT of class 10, its name has not been mentioned, but we have to remember this. The glucose, when converted into pyruvate, which occur in the cytoplasm of the cell, this process is called glycolysis. Okay, this first step is clear to all the students? Through the chat box, you give me the reply. The first step is clear to all the students. This first step is clear to all the students. Yes, student, through the chat box, you give me the reply. Okay, fine. Yes, I got your reply. Okay. Now, after this, students, all of you see, after this, we will have the, yes, after this, we are having, just a moment. Yes. After this, we are going to have the next step of respiration, and that is, see, 3 possibilities are there. Glucose converted into pyruvate, and the pyruvate can enter in any of these 3 pathways depending upon the type of the cells present. For example, pyruvate during the anaerobic condition, which means in absence of the oxygen, which is written over here as no oxygen, it occurs in yeast. The pyruvate is converted into ethanol, CO2, and energy. The pyruvate is converted into ethanol, CO2, and energy. So this process is called the alcoholic fermentation. It is used in the beverage industries. Okay, so the pyruvate, in absence of the oxygen, which occur in the yeast, get converted into ethanol, carbon dioxide, and the energy, and this process is called anaerobic respiration. Okay, now this pyruvate, the second case, in our muscles. Students, you must have noticed that when we do vigorous physical exercise, after some time we see a pain in our legs, in our muscles, that we named as muscular cramps. So remember, that pain is due to the accumulation of lactic acid. Now, this respiration, actually we should say this is not in no oxygen. This we will write as least, or we can say insufficient oxygen. Okay, So this is insufficient oxygen. In our muscle cells, this pyruvate get converted into lactic acid and energy. And finally, the most important one, and that is called the aerobic respiration, which occur in presence of oxygen. And in this, we get carbon dioxide, we get water, we get energy. So this is a breakdown of the glucose by the various pathway. There are, once again, I'm going through this. There are 3 pathways. The universal step is glucose getting converted into pyruvate. This occurs in all type of the cell because of the presence of the cytoplasm. And this step is called glycolysis. From here, we are getting 3 pathways. First, no oxygen, which is occurring in the yeast, where alcohol, CO2, and the energy is formed. Then in our muscle cells, where the no oxygen, we should say insufficient oxygen. Okay, here we will not say no oxygen. Then lactic acid energy is formed. And finally, in the mitochondria, in presence of the oxygen, that is an aerobic respiration where CO2, water, and energy is formed. Okay, now students, can you tell me in among all the 3 pathway, which one will give you the maximum energy? Tell me. Out of the 3 pathway, just raise your hand so that I can unmute you. Which pathway will give you the maximum energy? Which pathway will give you the maximum energy? Which pathway will give you the maximum energy? Pathway means, yes, either in no oxygen or less oxygen, or yes, correct. That is, yes, the 3rd pathway. Very good. The 3rd pathway, that is in presence of oxygen when the food is broken down. Okay, fine, good. Just a moment. So definitely correct. And now, once again, so we have said, what is respiration? Respiration is the process of oxidation of the food material, either in presence of oxygen, which is aerobic respiration, or in absence of the oxygen, that is an anaerobic respiration. Now, students, both the aerobic and the anaerobic respiration is clear to you, or do you have any doubts regarding this? Is it clear to all the students? Through the chat box, you give me the reply. Yes, Roshan, unmute yourself. Yes, you have unmuted. Now, Roshan, tell me, just in a brief way, what we have discussed today. In a very brief account, you tell me, you can have a look on this breakdown of the glucose by the various pathway. Tell me that what is going on over here, which we have discussed just now. Yes, Roshan.
Yes, sir.
Roshan, about the pathway, you tell me, which we have discussed. You have understood? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then go ahead, Roshan. What is going on in this breakdown image which I have highlighted?
सर ग्लूकोज में 6 कार्बन मॉलिक्यूल्स प्रेजेंट होते हैं.
Okay.
इन साइटोप्लाज्मा.
Okay. Glucose is getting converted into pyruvate. Okay, fine.
Pyruvate. 3 carbon molecules present.
Okay, fine. Next.
And energy.
Okay. Then this pyruvate, yes,
in its absence of oxygen.
very good. In absence
And
of oxygen, okay, go ahead, go ahead.
in muscle cell, lack of oxygen.
Okay, fine.
And in mitochondria, presence of oxygen.
Very good. In mitochondria, presence of oxygen. Then Roshan, in which case energy will be more?
Third part.
Third part. Very good. Excellent. And here, student, one just a correction I am doing, where we are saying no oxygen, it will be lack of oxygen. In NCERT, it is yes, lack of oxygen. Yes, this third case. Okay, very good. Very good, Roshan. Okay. Anyone more wants to share what we have learned just now? Okay, then Ria, unmute yourself. Ria, unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Ria, tell me one difference between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Only one difference.
So, in aerobic respiration, the respiration in which pyruvate molecules breaks up into CO2, water, and energy with the help of oxygen
Okay.
in mitochondria.
Okay. And
So, in
anaerobic respiration.
the respiration in which pyruvate molecules breaks up into ethanol, CO2, and energy without the help of oxygen.
Okay, well said, Ria. Now here, student, one more thing I would like to say to you all. As we have said, students, when the pyruvate is getting converted into alcohol, this is called alcoholic fermentation. And when the pyruvate is converted into lactic acid, it is called lactic acid fermentation. Okay, so the first case, this one is your, just let me write over here. This one is your alcoholic fermentation. Okay. This is alcoholic fermentation. Alcoholic fermentation. And the second one is, this one is your lactic acid fermentation. This one is lactic acid fermentation. Okay, so these two are the very important and the vital process. Okay, so this is the case. Just a moment. Okay, fine. Okay, so this is the case with the Okay, Muskan. Now, Muskan, unmute yourself. Just a moment. Muskan, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Muskan, apart from the point which Ria shared regarding the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration, can you share any other point? Can you share any other point?
Sir, aerobic respiration take place in presence of oxygen, but anaerobic respiration take place in absence of oxygen.
Very good, Muskan. Actually, Ria, this should be our first point. Whenever we are going to differentiate, this should be the first point, the definition that aerobic take place in presence of oxygen, anaerobic take place in absence of oxygen. And then we will go to the end product. Like Ria has shared, the end product of aerobic respiration is CO2, water, and energy, while the end product of anaerobic respiration, that is in absence of oxygen, ethanol, CO2, and the energy. So these are the cases. And one more thing we have over here, that is which will provide the more amount of the energy. Definitely the aerobic respiration provide more amount of the energy, and the anaerobic respiration that provide less amount of the energy. Okay. Is it clear to all the students? Okay, fine. Okay. And so students, see, now after this, we are coming to the gaseous exchange in case of the plants. Okay. Now, generally students tell me during the day, what is a normal phenomena? During the day, what is a normal phenomena? It is being highlighted in the screen, also in the diagram. During the daytime, what is a normal phenomena which goes in the plant? Okay, okay, some of you have responded through the chat box. Yes, the gaseous exchange definitely take place in the plant through the stomata. Yes, take place through the stomata. CO2 and oxygen are exchanged by diffusion, and the large intercellular spaces in the leaves help the cell in contact with the air. Okay. And during the daytime, students, you might have, or the main important event which occur is photosynthesis. During that time, the CO2, which is produced by respiration, is used up in the photosynthesis to build up the food. And at night, the photosynthesis does not occur. So CO2 release occur, but oxygen is not released, because at night only respiration will occur, but photosynthesis does not occur because of the absence of sunlight. But during the daytime, both respiration and the photosynthesis occur simultaneously. Okay, only thing is that the CO2 which is released during respiration is used up in photosynthesis. Is it clear to all, this part? Okay. And student, whenever we are talking about the gaseous exchange in case of the animals, then, for example, the aquatic animals breathe the dissolved oxygen in the water. In fishes, respiratory organ is gills. It may be covered by the operculum. This part you can see in the diagram, which is being highlighted over here. Yes, you can see over here in this diagram that this is part is the operculum, which will be open, which we need to be, we can say, slightly moved upward to see the gill and the gill slits. Okay, so this part is the gill. See how it occurred during breathing. The fishes open and close mouth, and the gill slits or operculum is coordinated in manner and timing. They take in the water through the mouth. See here how the water enters into the mouth. The water enters into the mouth, and in the gills, water flows over gill and then out. Just a moment. Yes. So during breathing, fishes open and close mouth and gill slits. They take in water, pump over the gill. From gill, dissolved oxygen is taken up by the blood, and the amount of the dissolved oxygen, this is very important, student. You might have observed that the rate of breathing in case of the aquatic organism is more. Now, why this happened? The rate of the breathing in case of the aquatic organism is more because the amount of the oxygen dissolved in water is fairly low as compared to the air. So the rate of the breathing is faster in case of the aquatic organisms. Now, students, in our today's class, our topic will be confined till this, and definitely today's assignment for you all will be, you will work out the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration.